We will move on to the next speaker. And incidentally, it's actually also something that is somehow related to what we were talking about. And that is, you have, of course, challenges of overcoming, maybe internal barriers, be it financial constraints or, the management is not ready to embark on a journey towards data science and artificial intelligence. But also you need, to train your workforce, right? People need to learn how to use these tool sets. And one of the great things about artificial intelligence and digitization in general, that you have startups, very innovative startups, that provide solutions for the problems that we face in this area. And one of those innovative startups is, or actually the CEO of one of these innovative startups, Leo Marose, a good friend of mine, is gonna talk to us about how to train your workforce. Leo, thank you very much for being here, and I'm looking very much forward to your presentation.
Nabil, thank you very much for the nice intro. Happy to be here. I'll just share my screen in a second. All right, so it should work now. Just a second. Perfect. All right, yeah, so welcome from my side. So it's a pleasure to be here. And my name is Leo. I'm the founder of StackFuel, an online training provider for data analytics skills, who helps companies to build up those skills within the organization. And before we actually jump into the topic, I would have one wish, and this is, please, let's start a little discussion. I know it's noontime, you have quite a few hours behind you. There's a few more hours to go to listen and to engage in this great event. And if you have the possibility, I mean, you came to this talk because you saw the topic and there's something in your mind why you came today, please make it visible for everyone, put it in a chat so that we can have a discussion right afterwards. I have reserved a few minutes for it. Yeah. Before we jump into the topic, maybe really quickly about StackFuel so that you know where I'm coming from, where we are coming from, and why we were asked to give a talk about it. So as I said, we help companies to upskill and reskill their employees in the field of data. We do this across industries with a lot of different big companies, but also mid-sized companies and startups. How do we do that really quickly? So we have a training catalog where you have different upskilling and reskilling initiatives. So from data literacy to data science expert topics. So we have everything included. I'll touch that later on. We have an online training platform where you get everything to do data analytics in your browser. So you get a programming environment, you get a data set, and you don't need to download anything. So you can just start there. And in the end, everyone who goes through the training gets a certification, and you can be sure that those people can work in their data and AI or AI job role and in the projects. So that's it in a nutshell. And we offer different trainings in upskilling and reskilling. So like I said, from data awareness, but also something for managers, data-driven management, short topics like data storytelling, but also 3 to 4 month reskilling programs to become a data analyst or a data scientist. So when you're interested in that, let me know. However, this is the reason why we get in touch with so many L&D and data professionals who are thinking about how can I scale this learning within my organization. And that's why I'll talk about that in the next 15 minutes. And there are 3 topics I want to touch today. Number 1 is the main challenges. So which are the main challenges? Then what kind of best practices are out there already? And what are the key takeaways of this talk of today? And what can you take away to your company and put it into practice? So I think one thing is pretty clear. Data is in the DNA of all the tech giants, like in Amazon, like in Tesla, like in Google. We all know that. But what has happened over the last 3 to 5 years is that it becomes really critical for all organizations, small or big. And a very recent study from McKinsey shows that 75% of all executives believe that they have problems if they don't manage to scale data and AI. So it's already in the mindset. But there's also the truth in the numbers. And I mean, we're data-driven, so we should look at it. There are already nearly all companies having some kind big data and AI initiatives. But on the other hand side, only a third really is able to get measurable value from this data. So there's still a long way to go. However, if we look at the three main challenges that we as StackFuel see in the market with companies who are now at that crossroad, there are three things. Number one is there's a very weak strategy in place. So there's maybe a strategy paper or something, but it hasn't been really rolled out. So weak strategy, number one. Number two is IT systems. I saw a lot of talks today from IT service providers, great tools out there, but most of the time they are not really in use. Licenses are unused. So you should really make use of those great products. And then third, last but not least, it's the lack of internal data skills. And this is really from the basics, understanding what data is all about, but also to the programming languages and skills that you need if you want to really work with data. And the good thing and the good message here is that if you are able to, get it into processes, be able to work with data on a frequent basis, you are able to exceed your goals and beat competition. And this is what successful companies are about. So it really makes sense to invest in this area. And I'll show you some best practices, how you can work on the one hand side, on the data side, but then on the other side, also on L&D. If there's one to-do that I want you to take away for your company is build a solid data strategy. And it's not just only about building it. I think you have heard that a million times before, but it is really about how you spread the word about it and how you build it. 3 points on that. Number one, in your data strategy, please don't only think about data department, IT department, maybe some business BI department. Think about every department. How is it affected by this data strategy? So also HR, also accounting, etc. It's very important that you have them all included. Second, really write it down, make a flyer, make a longer version of it. And then third, publish it. Make it available to your company, because we see that a lot, that we talk to different business units and they are not even aware that there is kind of strategy. They are wondering what those guys in the data fields are doing. So really, really put that out and publish it. And what's also important, if we look at the strategy, we always think first about the value that we get from analytics, but there's much more to come in the future, right? So there's this iceberg model where there's a lot more to come. And there's two things I want you to think about. One is the short to midterm effects on your operations. So whenever you start with analytics, whenever you start to gather data, whenever you start to maybe launch a data product, what kind of impact does it have on your operations? And then the long-term effect, and this is maybe even more important, is what kind of effects does it have on your business model? Because everyone in the company needs to understand that you're doing that not for fun, but you really want to help the business grow and succeed. Let's talk a little bit about mindset. I think it is very important, and now we are transitioning from data to L&D, that you develop and implement a data-driven culture within your company. And this, most of the time, really starts from top. So you need some C-level manager to give you the sponsorship for data initiatives. It's very important. Otherwise, it will just be a side topic. That's especially important for the hidden champions, if any of you guys are listening. Very, very important. Second thing that you have heard a million of times, but you can't say it enough, it's very important. Data shouldn't be locked away in silos. It's not important that everyone has access to all the data, but everyone should have the possibility to analyze data in different fields. And we already see that data is disrupting the future of work. We all know the job roles of the data analyst, the data engineer, the data scientist. Most of us have heard that. But they are popping up new job roles every day, from the data architect, the data steward, data translator, AI translator. Every week I hear something new. And I can just encourage you to make clear what kind of career paths are there, how are those job roles defined, make it clear, write it down somewhere, and make it accessible for everyone so that people know what they can achieve. If we talk about L&D, I've brought you 4 best practices, what you should do. Again, find a C-level sponsor, this time not for data, but someone who wants to foster data literacy. This could be the same champion or the same C-level sponsor, but it could also be the CHO. Second, communicate within that process with technical and non-technical stakeholders. That means whenever you design your programs around data skills, talk to all of the different stakeholders, because you will be surprised how many different people are interested in taking those trainings and understand more about data. So that's really a privilege. Number third is really build then dedicated programs for the different internal target groups, so that you have programs ready to understand data, maybe for the basic guys, and then really to get better in data science for the people who are already data scientists. Very important. And fourth, you have to find champions within the organization, within the different business units, which promote your L&D initiatives. Now the question is, why should we make learning a priority? In our case, data learning. The thing is, training and development. So this is a recent study from Statista where they ask millennials what do they value most in terms of corporate benefits. Training and development is by far the thing that is rated the most. And somewhere in the middle, down below, you find a company car, which maybe some managers think is still important. But training and development, getting forward, staying in the company and being able to grow, this is something that especially young talents are looking for. So this is the why. And now the question is, okay, I know why, but how do I make learning a priority? I have 5 tips for you. Number one, very important and very often also misused, is give people time and space to learn with a designated time per week. That means learning is part of your job. You should do it while in your working time. So you should get the time from your manager. Very important. Number two is really ask the employees for their learning goals. What do they want to achieve? And then you can align it with the goals that you have as a manager or you as a company. Third is it's all about feedback. Some trainings might work, some don't. There's different learning types. So get feedback to really understand, what your people in the company want. Number four is, build a long-term learning goal for every function and different learning paths. So it means, where is this learning leading to? And the best case, I know not every company has it, it's kind of a luxury, but more and more get it, is getting a chief learning officer. So having someone who takes learning very serious and is within the C-suite. So this is something I can just offer. In the perfect world, it would look a little bit like this. You would have reskilling and upskilling, and you would have different training parts for different target groups. On top, we have the experts, so our data scientists, our data engineers, who get training, and it's important to retain them, increase their satisfaction, and always give them new challenges. So that's a very specific part of the training. In the middle, we have the managers who should promote data-driven work and leadership. But if they don't know what they're talking about, you have a problem. So you need specific sessions for managers who understand what's actually going on in the data world. And then last but not least, you have the basic skills where you really want to establish this data and AI literacy, where everyone knows what you're talking about and that you can really communicate on eye level with the technical experts. So this would be my picture of the ideal world. So let's sum it up. What are the key takeaways from this session? What I would really ask you to go out when you go back out of that session and go back to your company. Number one is align your data strategy with your corporate goals. And you should really make it visible and clear. Second, get C-level sponsorship for data initiatives. We have seen many, many data initiatives fail because there was no sponsorship. So make clear that you have it within your organization. Maybe it takes a while, but you really need to get it. And third is you need to establish an open culture for data literacy, and with that also for learning. So it should be a goal of managers, of C-level, of the whole company to foster data literacy, to understand data and to be able to communicate and visualize data. This was on the data side. With L&D, it's a bit different. There are 3 things I would like you to take away. Number one is the job roles, I showed it before, are evolving really quickly. So every week there's new job roles popping up. You should really look out for that and just be open to it and look like what kind of data roles could we have in our company, what kind of job ads could we put out, and most important, which people with which skill sets would be able to evolve into those job roles. Second, again, get a C-level sponsorship, but also for L&D. And to be honest, this is quite hard for now. Learning was, a part of HR for a very long time, but we really see now that, there's more chief learning officers, becoming installed in the companies, and it really makes sense because learning and development saves time, saves money, and in the end gives you greater outputs. And then third is really establishing a learning culture and make it a priority. And there are different verticals where you already see there's a big learning culture. So let's take the financial services industry, where you have a lot of certifications that you need. So you're used to learn. It's normal that you do a learning once per month or maybe even twice. But there's also other industries where we see that it was normal to start your job with 16 to 25. You have learned something and you will do it until you retire. I think this time is over, and that's why you as leaders need to establish that, having a learning culture and make it a priority. That's it from my side, and I'm now more than happy to answer a few questions. Go back to Nabil, talk to him. And also, I just want to remind you, we are one of the premium sponsors of this event. You can reach us, me and my colleagues, over the event site. Just click on the partners and on StackFuel, reach out to us. And I'm always very happy to hear stories also from you and to understand what kind of challenges you have right now. And getting into discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you. And also, I'd like to invite you also to, we are doing also 2 workshops with the StackFuel. And of course, you are invited to attend them. We have a few questions in chat, and I'm going to read them out to you, Leo. So the first one is, what's your experience with classical mid-sized manufacturing companies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, we work, for example, with a automotive supplying company, which is exactly in that size. And in this case, we have a very good example. If someone's interested, just contact me and I'll share you the details. But they have been in a transformation mode for 3 to 4 years, and they really have an own team just for transformation. So in the L&D department, they have an own transformation team out of 5 people, which really help people to transition. But I would say it is really an example where it works really, really well. We also see a lot of examples where, there's not a lot in place. Everyone was used to give training in person, wasn't used to do the trainings online. Now, through Corona, everything changed. So they're having big struggle. And maybe a year or 1.5 years later, they are now able to show the first online trainings. So there's differences, but like I said, there's really good use cases out there in the industry where they are very successful with retraining.
Mm-hmm. Now, the next, it's not really a question, it's kind of a challenge. So one of the participants says, you are supposing that you can simply define new job roles from scratch only based on skills. This is not so easy in large organizations with worker councils.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, maybe this is something I should have added, like working with the working councils is very important, and we do this all the time. We work with big clients and also small clients, and with the big ones, it's especially a topic. Of course, it is not, just one path that you design and then it's there. It's more like it's growing, but you have to start somewhere. And whenever you find a new career path that you can embed in your company, in your career, it's something that you have to discuss internally. And that's why I say the data strategy isn't just something that's born in the data field. It's born in the whole company, and you need to embed it in the whole company. So that's also talking to HR, talking to the policymakers, etc., is very, very important within that process. So taking that challenge, very happy to discussing that, what kind of experience we saw and how you can solve the problems.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leo. That was great, and good luck to you with training all the workforce we need and the economy needs in the area of data science and artificial intelligence. Thank you.